Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into something a little different.
Oh,
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the world of gross animals.
interesting.
Yeah, our source today is the Top 10's website and their list of the top 10 grossest animals.
Okay, and the top tens is interesting because all of their lists are from user submissions.
Exactly. So we're getting a glimpse into, what the public considers truly repulsive, not scientists or anything.
Right, public opinion.
Yeah, and so we'll not only be exploring like the ick factor of all these different creatures, but
Yeah.
also what makes them so fascinating.
From a biological perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So, for example, did you know that some tapeworms can grow to be over 50 feet long?
Wow.
That's longer than a school bus.
That's incredible.
Yeah, living inside of an animal's intestines.
It's certainly the thought-provoking image, and it kind of highlights our complicated relationship with parasites.
Right.
Like, evolutionarily, it makes sense that we've developed a strong aversion to creatures like tapeworms.
Yeah.
Because disgust serves as a protective mechanism to help us avoid potential sources of disease.
Exactly. And speaking of things that might trigger our gag reflex, let's move on to the turkey vulture.
Okay.
These birds, they have a rather unusual defense mechanism.
What's that?
They projectile vomit their partially digested meals
Oh, my.
at attackers.
Wow.
Not exactly what you'd expect from such a majestic-looking creature when it's, soaring up in the air.
Well, while it might seem repulsive to us, that vomit actually serves a few different purposes, like it lightens their load for a quick escape and can even deter a potential threat.
Makes sense.
So it's a fascinating example of how evolution has shaped even the most, I guess you could say, unsavory behaviors, for survival.
Yeah. Next up, we have maggots.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, the stars of many a horror movie.
What?
I was reading a story on the top tens about someone finding maggots in their leopard gecko's mealworm container.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, definitely not a pleasant surprise, but, maggots actually play a crucial role in our ecosystem.
Yeah, you might think they're gross, but they're actually nature's recyclers.
How so?
Well, by breaking down decaying matter, they're returning vital nutrients to the soil,
Okay,
which helps support the entire ecosystem.
that makes sense.
They even have some surprising medical uses.
Yeah, that's right. Some species of maggots are used to clean wounds
Yeah,
and promote healing
exactly.
because they eat away at dead tissue and release substances that can kill bacteria.
That's right.
So if we're talking about creatures with, let's say, unglamorous jobs,
Yeah,
we can't forget about the dung beetle.
of course. A classic.
Yeah, as their name suggests, these beetles are all about, well,
Dung?
dung.
Yeah, they eat it, they roll around in it,
Yeah.
they even use it to build their nests.
I mean, is this really gross or is this just misunderstood? I mean,
Right.
someone's got to do it, right?
Exactly. Dung beetles are essential for nutrient recycling. They break down waste, return valuable nutrients to the soil. They might not be the most glamorous creatures, but they play a vital role in maintaining healthy ecosystems.
Right. So from the depths of the ocean to the world of waste management, our exploration of gross animals now takes us to the hagfish.
Uh,
This deep sea dweller takes defense mechanisms to a whole new level by
Oh.
turning seawater into slime.
Slime.
Yeah.
Wow, imagine being surrounded by a gallon of instantly formed slime.
Yeah.
It's a pretty effective way to deter predators.
And their eating habits are equally interesting.
How so?
They feast on dead animals from the inside out.
Oh, wow. Not exactly a table manners role model?
No, not at all.
But their scavenging behavior is actually quite important in the deep sea
Yeah.
because it helps to break down carcasses and recycle nutrients.
Okay.
And that's slime. That slime has some intriguing properties that scientists are even studying for potential applications in biomaterials.
Wow.
Yeah.
It seems like slime is a recurring theme in our list of gross animals.
Yeah, seems to be.
Next up is the blobfish, known for its, well, blob-like appearance.
Right, and the top 10 describes it as having droopy features and looking, frankly, pretty miserable.
Yeah, and the blobfish's gelatinous body actually helps it survive the intense pressure of the deep sea.
Right.
It's a great example of how appearances can be deceiving.
Yeah.
What we might perceive as gross can actually be a brilliant evolutionary solution.
Exactly.
Yeah. So far, we've been exploring creatures from, the deep sea and the less glamorous corners of the ecosystem.
Right.
But this list also includes some surprising entries.
Really? Like what?
Cats, for example.
Cats?
Yeah, they made the cut because of their tendency to cough up hairballs.
Ah, yes, the hairball, a common, if slightly unpleasant side effect of our feline friends' Meticulous grooming habits
Right.
might make us cringe, but it's the natural consequence of their biology.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that gross is often a matter of perspective.
Exactly.
We might find a hairball disgusting, but to a cat, it's just a part of life.
Exactly. Our perceptions are shaped by so many factors, including, our cultural background and personal experiences.
Right.
What one person finds utterly repulsive, another might find intriguing or even beautiful.
Yeah, and speaking of things that are often perceived as slimy and unpleasant,
Oh, what's next?
fish also earned a spot on the list.
Fish. Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting how fish have gotten a reputation for being slimy.
Right.
While it's true that they have a layer of mucus on their skin, this serves a very important purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it protects them from parasites and helps them move through the water more efficiently.
It's like nature's version of a wetsuit.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Plus, there are some incredibly beautiful and diverse fish species out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Think of the vibrant colors of a coral reef fish, or the graceful movements of a stingray.
Yeah, exactly. Our perception of fish as gross might stem from our limited exposure to their underwater world.
I think so.
We tend to focus on the slime and the scales, but there's a whole realm of fascinating adaptations and behaviors beneath the surface.
Right. This brings us to perhaps the most ironic entry on the list.
What's that?
Humans.
Humans.
Yeah.
It is quite thought-provoking, isn't it?
Yeah.
We often find other animals repulsive, yet our own species is capable of some pretty destructive and polluting behaviors.
That's true.
Think about all the waste we generate, the pollution we pump into the environment.
Yeah, we might wrinkle our noses at a dung beetle rolling around in its chosen habitat.
Right.
But then we create landfills overflowing with our own waste.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, our perception of grossness often reflects our disconnect from the natural world.
Yeah.
We've become so accustomed to sanitized, controlled environments that we forget the essential roles these gross animals play in maintaining a healthy planet.
Okay, let's go back to the list for a second.
Okay.
The top 10s mention a few creatures that didn't quite make the top 10,
Oh.
but are considered contenders.
Okay, like what?
Silverfish,
Uh-huh.
grubs, anyone.
Ah, yes, the creepy crawlies that often send shivers down our spines, right?
Yeah, and the website also mentioned a rather memorable YouTube video involving a hippopotamus
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen that one.
and, shall we say, an explosive digestive episode.
Yeah, and they have that habit of spinning their tails like propellers to fling their waste around.
Right, not exactly what you want to encounter on a safari.
That tail spinning behavior is actually quite strategic.
Yeah,
It helps them mark their territory and spread their scent.
it's certainly effective.
Yeah.
I imagine it sends a pretty clear message to any rivals.
And speaking of sending messages, let's not forget about the hagfish and their unique defense mechanism.
Oh, right, the slime.
Imagine being a predator, all set to enjoy a tasty hagfish snack, only to be suddenly engulfed in a gallon of slime.
I never knew that about hagfish. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And a little bit unsettling. I bet it's pretty hard to maintain your appetite after that.
Yeah,
I also want to give a shout out to the dwarf or pygmy sperm whale,
okay.
which, according to the list, has a rather explosive way of defending itself as well.
A cloud of fecal matter, to be precise.
Right.
It might not be the most elegant defense strategy, but it's certainly effective in creating a diversion and confusing a potential threat.
Well, I guess when you're facing a hungry predator, you got to use whatever tools you have at your disposal,
Yeah.
even if it means resorting to unconventional tactics.
Speaking of unconventional, we've talked a lot about creatures that are considered gross because of their appearance or behaviors.
Right.
But what about those animals that are deemed gross simply because we don't fully understand them?
That's a great point. It's like our fear of the unknown can sometimes manifest as disgust.
Exactly.
Take the naked mole rat, for example.
Okay.
They might not win any beauty contests,
No.
but their unique adaptations and social structures are fascinating.
And they're remarkably long-lived for rodents their size,
Yeah.
which has made them a subject of great interest to scientists studying aging and longevity.
So what does this all mean for our understanding of the natural world?
I think it highlights the importance of looking beyond superficial judgments and appreciating the diversity and complexity of life on Earth.
Yeah.
Even those creatures we might initially deem gross often possess incredible adaptations and play vital roles in their ecosystems.
It's amazing to think about how much diversity exists in the animal kingdom.
It really is.
From, slime-producing hagfish to dung-rolling beetles, there's a whole spectrum of adaptations out there.
Absolutely.
But as we've been discussing, our perception of growth often prevents us from truly appreciating these creatures.
That's true. Our initial reaction might be disgust or fear.
Right.
But if we take a closer look, we often find fascinating stories of survival,
Yeah.
adaptation, and ecological balance.
So as we, wade through this sea of sliminess
Right.
and contemplate projectile vomit, I have to ask you, dear listener, has this deep dive into the grossest animals changed your perspective at all?
I think this exploration has definitely challenged me to reconsider my own reactions.
Okay.
Like why, for instance, do I find a hagfish's slime more repulsive than a spider's web?
Yeah.
Both are sticky substances with important biological functions.
That's a really good point. Maybe it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned earlier, cultural conditioning.
Yeah.
We're taught from a young age to fear certain creatures or to find them disgusting.
Right.
But the more we learn about them, the
Mhm.
more we realize that even the grossest animals have their own unique beauty and purpose.
Take the dung beetle, for example.
Okay.
They might spend their lives rolling around in dung,
Right.
but they're also incredibly strong and resourceful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they can move objects many times their own weight,
Wow.
play a crucial role in nutrient cycling.
And they were surprisingly sophisticated navigators.
Really?
Yeah, some species even use the stars to orient themselves.
That's incredible.
Which is pretty impressive for an insect that's mostly focused on, well,
Gundam.
it's a great reminder that every creature, no matter how seemingly insignificant or repulsive,
Right.
has its own story to tell, its own unique role to play in the grand tapestry of life.
So the next time you encounter a creature that makes you want to squirm or turn away,
Yeah.
maybe take a moment to consider its perspective.
Right.
What might seem gross to us could be a brilliant adaptation or a vital ecological service.
Our disgust, while a natural emotion, can sometimes blind us to the beauty and complexity of the natural world.
Yeah.
Even if a creature's appearance or behavior might make us cringe,
Yeah.
there's often a fascinating story behind it.
Well said. And on that note, we're signing off.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the wonderfully weird, occasionally unsettling,
Yeah.
but always fascinating world of so-called gross animals.
It's been fun.
Remember, there's beauty to be found everywhere,
Absolutely.
even in the slimiest, most vomit-inducing corners of the animal kingdom.
Until next time.